So in our last video, we proved that idler gears do not affect the total gear ratio. So idler gears do not affect gear ratios. And the way we proved this was actually two ways. One, we took the idler gears into account up here, and then we did it, and we saw we got the same answer. And the second way we proved it is when we took it into account, if you look, gear B canceled itself out, and gear C canceled itself out, and those were the idler gears. Although I saw that gears A and D canceled themselves out. That's why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to give you another example where gears A, or where the total gear ratio does not cancel itself out and does not come up with a gear ratio of 1. So let's go ahead and use a gear ratio where the gears have a higher discrepancy of the number of teeth. So let's say gear ratio of A to C instead of A to D, where gear B is our only idler gear. And of course, all an idler gear is, just to be clear, is just the gear that's not taken into account when you name the gear ratio. So if we say gear ratio A to C, the idle gears would be all the gears in between the two you are comparing. So let's go ahead and just do simply, we know the gear ratio, well, all we have is the number of teeth. So we'll say the in output divided by the in input, or the number of teeth input. And of course, we can see that gear A is clearly our input, I should say. So that goes on bottom, so 20 teeth on bottom. And of course, the output in the system would be gear C, or 5 teeth on top. And if we divide that, it's pretty simple. It should be pretty obvious. 5 divided by 20, 5 is 1/4 of 20, or of course, we could say it's 0.25. But of course, if I were to compare, we say gear ratio A to C. If I were to compare that to, well, taking the idler gears into account, so I can go ahead and multiply the individual gear ratios. So it's gear A and gear B, that ratio, multiplied by the gear ratio between B and C, so AB times B and C. Hopefully it's not too terribly confusing what I'm trying to show. But if I were to just plug in these numbers, which we said earlier, well, we know gear ratio A to B is just, what, 12 teeth divided by 20 teeth. So let's go ahead and make sure we get our correct colors here. And then on the next one, we had 12 teeth on bottom, gear ratio B to C. Of course, B would be the input in that individual system, so that would be on bottom. And then on top, we would, of course, have 5 teeth on top. And if you look at this, well, we have 12 over 20 times 5 over 12. We have 12 on top and 12 on bottom. They would cancel out. So look what we'd be left with. We'd be left with 5 teeth and 20 teeth. So taking the idler gear into account, it doesn't actually change your math. It just gives you an extra step. So basically, these are the exact same, just with less steps. And that's what we mean when we say the idler gears do not affect it.